Are there things we should stop doing as Christians? Not broadly, but individually. When a lot of people first become a Christian, they often still have their bad habits. They're often still doing the things that they were doing before they became Christians. And that's pretty normal. That's not something that anyone should feel judged about or beat over the head about. However, the Bible does have a lot to say about what we should and shouldn't be doing in our lives. Now, the Bible doesn't do this. God doesn't do this to cramp our style or try and limit our lives. No, He does this because He wants us to live our fullest life. So I think about it like this. Your life is like being a bowling ball on a bowling alley. You've got bumpers and then sometimes you don't have bumpers. And when the bumpers are up, life is a lot easier to hit a strike. And the Bible is kind of like the bumpers on that bowling alley. It tells us what we need to do and what we need to not do in order to make sure that we are getting our best chance at the best life. So one example of this would be hate. Living with hate. Hate towards one person individually or a whole group of people. Hate is one of those things that poisons us. It doesn't do what a lot of people think it does. We think that hate and anger towards another person affects them. That's not it at all. It affects us. And so instead of living with hate towards another person, the Bible says to love our enemies. Difficult? Oh yeah. But there's a blessing in that for us. When we learn to love our enemies, we don't carry around the lack of forgiveness. We don't carry around the anger or the bitterness or the rage towards another person or group of people. It basically makes it so that we recognize the value another person has. We start to see them the way that God sees us. Because when we think about sin and we think about the things that we should stop doing, we also need to recognize that we're all equal here. We are all sinners in need of grace from Jesus Christ. No one is different in that. Now, granted, some sins carry with them more social problems. Telling a white lie to hide the anniversary present you got for your wife is very different from murder. There's no question about this. But in the eyes of the Lord, sin is sin. And that's a difficult line for us to figure out as humans and as the creation. We have to do our best to honor the rules that God has placed for us because, again, we want to make sure that we are living our fullest life. So here's a quick way to determine if something you're doing needs to stop. Take it to an extreme. For instance, look at something like drinking. Drinking alcohol in and of itself is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. We see people in the Bible who do it all the time. We see Jesus himself turn water to wine, right? But taken to an extreme, drinking leads to drunkenness. And inside of drunkenness, we have the potential for really poor decision making. We lose our sense of morals and ethics, or we lose our sense of ability to love one another and to even love ourselves. Take another one. Look at lust. Lust could simply be admiring another person's beauty, but taken to an extreme, it can lead to adultery. You can break relationships and marriages that are so powerful and so blessed, and it's a covenant with the Lord because of an affection for another person. Another example would be anger. Anger all by itself is not necessarily bad. Anger teaches us to not like the things that God doesn't like. But taken to an extreme, anger can lead to murder. And we see that with Cain and Abel. His anger welled up within inside of him, and it led him to do something so heinous as take another person's life who is innocent. So what do? Instead of focusing on these negative things, we need to look at the positives. And an easy way to do this would be to look at the fruits of the Spirit. The fruits of the Spirit are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. If we are living within those boundaries of the fruits of the Spirit, those bumpers, so to speak, it's going to be a lot harder to give in to those other things that we struggle with. And so when we think of something like self-control is the solution to drunkenness. It's not that, again, we can't have a drink here or there, but self-control makes sure that we never give in to drunkenness. And then over the course of time, we may decide, do we or do we not have the ability to make that? So living within the fruits of the Spirit is the big blessing. Live within the love and the joy. Joy is the counter to anger, right? Look at the peace. Peace is the counter towards fear and anxiety. So you can live within the fruits of the Spirit, and that can be the way to help you to stop doing the things the Bible teaches us not to do. Hey, you like this content? Hit that bell to get notifications, like, and subscribe.